Packing for a trip is a sacred ritual. I lay everything out with intention, and then proceed to cram it into the truck like I'm late for an apocalypse. I brought food I wouldn't normally eat: beef jerky, trail mix, freeze-dried spaghetti. All of which say, I could die out here, but I want to be gassy if I do. The cooler is 30% ice and 70% things I'll forget are in there. Somewhere beneath the frozen cliffside of LaCroix cans, there's a block of cheddar I'll rediscover in 3 days, sentient and mad at me. I brought 13 gallons of water, which is enough for a weekend or a modest homestead, but it will awkwardly shift around and most likely spill, turning my truck into a kiddie pool. The spare tire goes on the roof because that's where it's least convenient. I don't trust a journey that doesn't start by strapping something heavy to the top of a car. It's tradition. It's also a mild threat to overpasses. I pack tools I don't know how to use: wrenches, a tire plug kit, something that might be a jack or a torture device. It makes me feel prepared, even if I wouldn't know where to begin in a real emergency. But hey, I look like I'm ready. Eventually the truck was full, not organized, not efficient, just full. Like a man trying to outrun something, but stopping first to make sandwiches. First gas stop, 2 minutes into the journey. Not because I needed gas, but because I needed to feel like I was doing something meaningful, something brave, something bold, something that cost $3.79 a gallon. Second gas stop, this one's actually important, not because it marks beginning of something great, but because it marks the last flush toilet I'll see for 3 days. I stood there pumping fuel and pretending I wasn't anxious. I was, but I'm pretty good at pretending. Letting air out of your tires before a trail is one of those things that makes you feel like you know what you're doing. I don't, but I do it anyway, because that's what you're supposed to do, like flossing, or pretending to like sparkling water. You don't really measure it, you just screw on the deflator you bought from Amazon and hope it's correct, which is the same way I approached most of my life decisions. And then we were off, onto the trail, or maybe it was just a long gravel road that led to disappointment. Either way, it was dusty and slightly downhill, just like my career. The drive was quiet. I like to think the silence means I was reflecting deeply, but it usually just means I forgot to download music while I had Wi-Fi. There's something peaceful about being out here. Just us, the truck, and the occasional rock that makes me say, fuck, in a very soft voice. We stopped at a canyon, not because we were tired, but because I wanted to feel something, and I did. Mostly the wind, and a creeping realization that I forgot to pack a can opener. We played cards for a while. Nobody really explained the rules, but we all pretended we knew what was going on. I'm pretty sure I lost, or maybe I won. Hard to say. We were keeping score in someone's notebook, but then it got used to level the stove. Then we cooked dinner. It took 35 minutes, 4 paper towels, and 1 existential spiral when I dropped the spatula in the sand. But in the end, it tasted like food. Kinda. This is the part where people say it's worth it all. The drive, the dirt, the gas station sushi. I watched the sun set behind rocks that haven't moved in a million years. Meanwhile, I rearranged my camp chair 4 times trying to find the perfect angle. There wasn't one. The cliffs don't care if we're here, but for a second, it felt like maybe they did. Or maybe that was just a LaCroix kicking in. In the morning, the canyon caught fire with morning sunlight. Golden cliffs, blue skies, and 4 people slowly waking up with sore hips and crusty eyes. It was time for the morning walk of shame. Not to confess a sin, but to commit one. The vault toilet stood there, humming with flies and government funding. It was fine, clean, even roomy. Not terrible as far as human boxes go, but something about the smooth concrete floor and the Department of Interior sticker on the wall made me feel watched, monitored, judged. I couldn't do it. Not here. Not like this. Not with dignity. So I backed away slowly and walked into the bushes instead. I needed to feel the wind on my cheeks. The real cheeks. I wanted to squat with the deer. Whisper to the chipmunks. Return to the circle of life. Leave no trace. Except for this one. Sorry. There's something meditative about off-roading. The slow crawl over rocks, the deep rumble of the tires gripping dirt, the occasional crunch that makes you go, hope that wasn't something important. Inside the truck it's silent, except for the one country radio station and one of us whispering, "Are you sure you need to be that close to the edge?" And then there it was, the moment we've been waiting for. The hill. People online called it gnarly, legendary. One guy on Reddit said he still has PSD from it. We all got out, filmed it, stared at it, whispered to each other like we're about to attempt Everest. Then, we drove up it. Like, easily. No wheel spins, no drama, just a little bump and done. A 2003 Prius on a spare tire could have made it up. I got out to film my friend but didn't even bother hitting record. Someone quietly said, "That was it?" And we just didn't talk about it again. We hugged the edge of the canyon like we were trying to impress someone watching from a helicopter. No guardrails, no room for mistakes, just questionable commitment and even more questionable decision making. But the rest of the trail kept us humble. We bounced, we bottomed out, and at one point I hit a rock so hard the radio changed channels. But we made it though, and we made it look good. Mostly because the trail was too narrow and there was no place to turn around. We stopped at a scenic overlook, the kind of place where you say wow without meaning to out loud. The view dropped off dramatically, cliffs carved by wind and water, stretching into hazy distance like a painting your grandma would buy at a gas station gift shop. Naturally, I felt inspired to pee off the edge. There's something deeply primal about watching your own urine fall into a canyon. It's like shaking hands with gravity, like returning a small, insignificant gift to Earth. I wasn't just relieving myself, I was participating in erosion. I made sure to step back when a gust of wind rolled through. Nobody wants that kind of karma. As I turned around, I said to the guys, "Well, that's one way to leave your mark on nature." They didn't laugh, but I think they were just jealous. We ate dinner at the last campsite of the trip. Just us sitting there chewing tortillas and staring into the distance like cowboys who don't know what a spreadsheet is. Then I decided to go for a swim. The water wasn't even cold. It was actually kind of nice, until the fish showed up. Tiny little river piranhas nibbling at my legs like I owed them money. At first I thought it was just a current, but nope. Just nature giving me a gentle exfoliation against my will. Still stayed in though. I wasn't going to let fish bullying me out of a good swim. And while I was standing there wondering if freshwater fish have teeth, I saw a deer on the other side of the river. She was drinking from the edge, delicate, peaceful, totally ignoring my situation. We made eye contact. She looked at me like, "You don't belong here." She was right. The sun started dipping behind the cliffs. The whole sky went pink and quiet, and the rocks lit up like the inside of a lava lamp. We didn't say much, not out of emotion, just because tortilla chewing takes effort. 2.5 days ago, before we hit the dirt, we aired down the tires so the washboard roads wouldn't rattle our skeletons out of our bodies. Now, right before the pavement starts again, it's time to pump them back up. This was always a plan, like a slow motion pit stop, if the crew was 2 guys and an Amazon compressor, and low blood sugar. Each tire took what felt like 45 minutes, give or take an eternity. The compressor screamed like a dying animal. It sounded like it was trying to alert the forest rangers that 2 idiots were here pretending to be explorers. But we didn't mind. It gave us time to stare off into the distance and pretend that this was the end of some profound journey, even though, let's be honest, all we did was drive in a big dusty circle, eat tortillas, get bitten by fish, and almost fall off a cliff several times. So basically, a spiritual awakening. Still, there was something about airing up those tires that felt symbolic, like we were re-entering society, returning to the grid, getting ready to pay $19.99 for a salad at the gas station. Tires full, truck humming, we rolled back onto the pavement, and immediately the entire vehicle started shaking like a shopping cart with a broken wheel, which felt right.